Number 8. Natalie Ortiz and Benjamin Green. Texas couple Natalie Ortiz and Benjamin Green were in a pickup truck traveling north along Interstate 45 on July the 26th of 2022 when they became embroiled in a violent road rage incident. According to the Harris County Sheriff's Office, the couple began tailgating another motorist who subsequently brake-checked them. In a fit of rage, Ortiz and Green followed the car off an exit near Parramatta Lane. 34-year-old Green, a reported Navy veteran, allegedly got out of the truck and approached the other driver, whom he then assaulted. The victim reportedly attempted to flee the scene, prompting 40-year-old Ortiz to exit the truck with a handgun and fire into the backseat passenger window of the other vehicle. The motorist continued driving away, at which point Ortiz allegedly fired another round in his direction, instead striking a car dealership building located nearby. It was reported that the victim had been admitted to the hospital with a possible graze wound, but was said to have been in stable condition. It subsequently emerged that there had been a 2-year-old inside the victim's car at the time of his run-in with Ortiz and Green, but the child was reported as having fortunately been left unharmed. The rageful pickup drivers were consequently taken into custody and charged with aggravated assault, while their bonds were reportedly set at $150,000 for Green and $300,000 for Ortiz. Number 7. Amy Carter. In the late evening hours of February the 15th of 2015, Florida police were called to the intersection of East Parr Street and Formosa Avenue in Orlando after receiving reports of a woman throwing a tantrum in the roadway. Upon their arrival, officers encountered 31-year-old Amy Carter, unclothed, in the middle of the street, blocking traffic. According to eyewitness testimony, Carter, a local hairdresser, had performed an intimate act on herself in front of a couple's car before climbing on top of the hood and hurling a cell phone at the vehicle stopped behind it. When the police attempted to remove her from the street, she offered strong resistance, allegedly pulling on them and kicking her legs in the air. In the resulting arrest report, officers noted that Carter appeared to have been under the influence of some sort of heavy substance at the time of her bizarre public incident. She was booked into the Orange County Jail on charges of criminal mischief and exposure of reproductive organs. It was later detailed how the unhinged woman had caused approximately $1,500 in damage to the vehicle she had mounted, the owners of which subsequently expressed their intention to press charges against her. Number 6. Jeffrey Epstein. Florida Dr. Jeffrey Epstein was filmed throwing a seemingly random temper tantrum at Orlando International Airport on the morning of August the 16th of 2018. The 59-year-old man, who shared no relation to the identically named New York financier and convicted felon, was preparing to board an American Airlines flight when the situation abruptly escalated. Epstein began berating the employee stationed behind the counter after she'd indicated that he may miss his flight. Although none of the airline's employees or the other travelers proceeded to interact with the irate man, he continued ranting anyway, as was captured in a cell phone video taken by a nearby witness. Shortly thereafter, as Epstein's demonstrative raving persisted, Orlando police arrived at the scene and asked him to leave, citing concern for the safety of others in the airport. Epstein chose not to comply with law enforcement's instructions. However, it was later described how the man became even angrier after overhearing the officers talking about the white froth that had reportedly formed around his lips during his outburst. At one point, after Epstein allegedly kicked one of the policemen, they sprayed mace at him and took him to the ground. As the officers placed the man in handcuffs, he shouted that they were treating him like a black person. Epstein was charged with battery on a law enforcement officer, resisting officer with violence, and trespassing after warning in connection to the incident. Speaking with an Orlando radio station, after his release from county jail on bond, Epstein claimed that during his public blow-up, He was trying to make a point about the manner in which police officers interact with suspects. Number 5. Milo Richie. 24-year-old model Milo Richie was involved in an altercation with security at Heathrow Airport on the morning of January the 19th of 2019. The young man, who was reported as being the son of prominent singer-songwriter Lionel Richie, had become furious with an airline employee who refused to allow him onto a flight at Terminal 5. As tensions escalated, Richie allegedly claimed he had a bomb in his bag, which he'd detonate if he wasn't let on the plane. He was subsequently approached by airport security, at which point he was accused of punching a guard. Following the physical altercation, Richie was taken into the custody of local police but later released after reportedly accepting a caution, allowing him to avoid criminal prosecution on charges of communicating false information, causing a bomb hoax, and battery. Number 4. Trey Songz. R&B singer Tremaine Alden Neverson, better known by the stage name Trey Songz, was arrested following an on-stage outburst in December of 2016. According to subsequent reports, Neverson had been performing at the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan, on the evening of the incident. Towards the end of the night, the venue informed him that the concert would need to be cut short in order to conform to an 11:30 p.m. curfew. As was shown in cell phone footage captured by members of the audience, Neverson became infuriated by the decision to end his performance early and began throwing various objects, including microphones. Detroit police officers subsequently charged the stage to stop him, at which point a police sergeant was reportedly struck in the head by an object the artist had thrown and consequently suffered a concussion. Neverson was then arrested for malicious destruction of property, as well as resisting and obstructing arrest. In August of 2017, the singer pleaded guilty to 2 reduced counts of disturbing the peace and was ultimately sentenced to 18 months of probation, substance screening, and anger management classes. Number 3. John Walter Miles. Shortly after 10 p.m. on April the 9th of 2021, former U.S. Army Sergeant John Walter Miles unleashed a racist, expletive-laden tirade towards employees of a Food Lion grocery store in Sumter, South Carolina. According to a statement subsequently released by the local police department, the incident had been sparked after a clerk had refused to sell alcohol to Miles, who was already intoxicated at the time. The 27-year-old man flew into a fit of rage, allegedly using racial slurs and various other profanities, as he loudly chastised the grocery store's workers. Miles's girlfriend attempted to hold him back and lead him out of the store several times, but he repeatedly pushed her aside to continue berating the employees. A Sumter police officer was called to the scene, at which point Miles was escorted to his vehicle and he then left with his girlfriend and mother. A video recording of the former Army Sergeant's outburst was widely disseminated on social media, reportedly amassing more than 50,000 Twitter views within the first week. As the situation began to garner national attention, a media relations officer at Fort Jackson in South Carolina publicly clarified that Miles had already ended his association with the U.S. Army at the time of the incident. A warrant for the man's arrest was later issued, and he consequently faced charges of trespassing and aggravated breach of peace. After being booked at a Sumter County Detention Center, Miles was placed on house arrest with a $15,465 bond. Number 2. Abigail Elfik. In a viral video that surfaced online in the summer of 2021, New Jersey woman Abigail Elfik was captured having a meltdown in the middle of a Victoria's Secret store at the Short Hills Mall. The incident was reportedly triggered after another female shopper identified as Agioma Ukenta had attempted to purchase some merchandise with a coupon. When the video recording began, Elfik was shown charging towards the other woman with her hand raised as if she was poised to strike. Upon realizing that Ukenta was filming her, Elfik's demeanor promptly shifted from one of aggression and anger to one of hysterical self-pity. She started crying, chasing Ukenta around the store and demanding that the recording be stopped. As Elfik's public breakdown continued, she at one point began to convulse and screech in an infantile attempt to make it appear as though she'd lost control of her behavior. According to an update Ukenta later posted to her social media. Elfik eventually contacted the police and outright lied about what happened. She allegedly claimed that it had been Ukenta who'd initially provoked the confrontation and consequently caused her to have a panic attack. In the incident's aftermath, the overwhelming majority of the general public sided with Ukenta, who ultimately received more than $100,000 in donations to help cover the legal fees associated with her court case against Elfik. Number 1. Singaporean road rage incident. On July the 31st of 2019, a video surfaced online in which a man and a woman were shown getting into an altercation with one another on a roadway in Singapore. In the recording, the warring motorists were captured shouting profane insults at one another as they stood in the road between their respective vehicles. At one point, after the two people had started shoving each other, a bystander approached and tried to break them up, telling them to stop fighting and call the police, although it wasn't made clear what had specifically triggered the driver's dispute. The woman's truck did appear to have sustained some sort of damage in the video. Tensions between the two parties ultimately reached a boiling point when the female driver retrieved a tire iron from her truck, which she then used to smash one of the man's side mirrors. The authorities were eventually called to the scene, at which point both the 23-year-old man and the woman, aged 24, were taken into custody on charges of affray or disturbing the peace. Thanks for watching. Would you rather have a disruptive child at your side in public at all times, or a low-intensity headache that never goes away? Let us know in the comments section below.